I 33 female am afraid I was too lenient with my fiancé 32 male after he revealed he cheated on me near the beginning of our relationship. I basically told him I don't care to make him feel less guilty. I met him when we were 24 and 25. He was a bartender and I knew he was a bit of a promiscuous guy. He was a hot dude, he still is of course lol. But back then he worked out every day and worked at a bar with a lot of young hot women. So it made sense. I always sort of had it in the back of my head that he was probably sleeping with some of the girls at the bar in the beginning. I just couldn't bring it to myself to care much. Even when I felt like I probably should. Of course. This was all hush hush. We never talked about it and I never brought it up to him. I honestly didn't ever want to find out or hear it from him. We moved to the suburbs and are getting married. It's been a long engagement because of the pandemic. Around 4 weeks ago. He asked me to sit down and said he had something he needed to tell me. He said that in the first year that we dated, there were a few situations where he was really drunk and high at his job and he got a blowjob from some girls. In one situation he slept with a girl. He said he had promised himself only blowjobs due to STD fears and that when he broke that vow and got blackout wasted and slept with the girl, he just said no more to everything and stopped partying after hours. I actually directly remember that. He told me he was gonna stop going to the parties and stop drinking so much. But he told me for health reasons. Albeit some part of me knew it was something else. I've been to the after hours parties at his bar. They were basically drugged out orgies. Like something from Studio 54. Just a bunch of sleazy buff guys with young women crawling all over them and a lot of cocaine. Again. To me. Knowing he was at those parties. I wasn't surprised he was doing stuff. When he told me. He looked visibly upset and guilty. I mean, he is a very different person than when he was 25. I just sort of hushed him and said it's okay. I know. I expected it. I don't care. I don't care, and then for whatever reason I said you don't have to feel bad about it. It's okay. And he was sort of like, wait, really? And I jokingly said that it wasn't hard to imagine that happening considering how that bar was. I almost right away regretted it. It's absolutely true that I don't care much. But the fact is that he didn't know what I didn't care. I didn't just forgive him. I almost made it seem as if he had nothing to be forgiven for. I feel stupid. Almost like I gave him some kind of free ticket for cheating. I am afraid that now he thinks I don't care at all about cheating in general. Which isn't really true. I could understand the context of him at the bar with the situation that was in to an extent. But God. He was 25 and we were both crazy party people. Now we are in our 30s and living in the suburbs. I do want to confront this topic again with him. But it literally feels so weird and wrong. Like, hey, remember how you cheated and I forgave you? Well, I still forgive you, but also that's bad and do that. That just sounds so weird. I think you should just tell him that you have been thinking about your reaction to his revelations. And that you want to backtrack a bit. It's not okay. It was wrong, and if it happened now, with your relationship more developed and the presumed maturity of age, it would be a deal breaker. But that it was the past. And you were in a rodent place. And you forgive him. Let him know that you forgave him for cheating. Because you know he was younger and less mature then, and you know he is no longer the sort of person who would do that. You're pleased with his growth. You wouldn't marry the person he was back then. But you trust him to never cheat on you now. And when you swear to be faithful to each other, you expect both of you to really mean it. I think it's fair if you tell him that. With more thoughts on the subject. You aren't okay with the situation and would like to talk more about it. It's a very common thing people go through when confronted with poor behaviors from their partner. Did you really expected it to happen? What has changed in your relationship that makes cheating less acceptable now? If your personal stance on cheating has changed as well. Just as his seems to have changed. It's good to talk about it. It can reassure both of you to know you're on the same page about commitment. Hey, wanted to share this with someone who is going through similar scenarios. My 31 female husband 31 male has been sexting on Facebook and I keep finding more signs of infidelity. I am 20 weeks pregnant. Together over 5 years. Married 14 months. We have a 4-year-old and are expecting another in February. I've never felt the need to be a hovering wife. I don't go through his phone or anything. I've always trusted him completely. The other morning, I unlocked the iPad. His Facebook was up and I saw a message with someone from the night before. It appears this person was random, but it was so easy for him to pull out his DCK and start masturbating for them in exchange for their videos. Bailed. He ducked up because the person he was talking to scammed him and had recorded his video, telling him they were going to send it to all of his contacts, his job, etc., unless he paid them $3,500. He blocked this person and nothing had happened. Yet, he put me and his children at risk of being publicly humiliated in our small town. I feel I had reason to start snooping. So I did. I found an email to reset his password on Kik from the end of June. He denied knowing anything about it for 2 hours, then admitted that he did request a password change. He claims he had downloaded the app for porn. I am not privy to Kik, but I am pretty sure he would only use this app for sexting. After searching his username online, I also found an account using his distinct username on MeetMe. He swears it's not him. I don't believe a ducking word out of his mouth. I am disgusted and embarrassed but unsure of what to do next. I think I am still in shock. I look at our son and don't want him to hurt by divorcing his father. But how can I move on from this absolute disillusion of trust? Wow. I was touched reading your story and I am deeply sorry about your situation. I would like to tell you about my boyfriend cheating on me and if I am being too lenient or not. Sorry for being so long. My boyfriend and I are both about to graduate college. We have been together for 2.5 years. BF struggles with depression and in February 2019 decided to take a semester off to thru-hike the Appalachian Trail as a way to figure himself out. Our relationship was very solid up to that point. BF is always loving, intelligent, a good listener, supportive of me during my parents' divorce, adventurous, and independent. Of course we would miss each other, but I wanted to do my best to be supportive and assured him I would write letters, we would call, etc. I had had success with long distance in previous relationships and with him before, so I had the typical sadness of having to be apart but also pride in him for wanting to complete this dream goal of his. The following months of long distance, February-June 2018, was challenging due to limited communication, lack of cell service in woods. We were both busy but overall fulfilling, and I thought we had come out of it stronger. I hiked with him for a week over spring break. We would send voice messages to each other, listen to audiobooks separately and then talk about them, send mail, etc. He was still struggling with depression while being high functioning once he came back. But after a brief adjustment period we got right back into our groove and we really grew together. Fast forward to last month. We are quarantining together, goofing around in his bed, and out of the blue tells me that he had cheated on me with a girl that he had hiked with for a few weeks a year ago, May 2019. I had ended up meeting this girl when I met up with him while he was hiking near my town and went to see him and meet his friends. And I had naively gotten to know her as we all spent time together over a weekend. Little did I know they had unprotected sex a week prior. I cried a lot when he told me. He cried too. I've only seen him tear up before, and he constantly told me how much he ducked up and regretted it. I didn't really talk to him for a week while I told him to really think about the fact that he betrayed me, put me at risk due to unprotected sex, and then lied to me by not telling me for a year. I am close to his mom and talked to her about it after he called her sobbing and scared of losing me. And also have been talking to my close friends about it. I wrote him a letter detailing everything that I thought was ducked up about his behavior and how if we are to continue our relationship he has to put in a lot of work to earn back my trust. BF since has started consistently talking to a therapist, got tested for STI and STDs, and seems to be taking initiative to address his behavior. And as a result we have been talking through everything. I believe BF that he regrets it and that he says he won't ever do it again. We are young but we both agree we feel like family to each other, and BF talks about how he can see an amazing future with me and is scared of losing that possibility. I am typically a very confident person and know my own worth. But it is hard for me to stay angry once I have released all my emotions. Oddly we feel closer to each other now more than ever, or maybe not oddly because the lie has finally been uncovered. It has only been a few weeks since he told me this news. Am I being too forgiving? He says he understands when I say he cannot take my forgiving laid-back nature for granted. But maybe our quarantine situation is warping my judgment. Am I too dependent on keeping romantic and sexual intimacy during this uncertain time? Or is it worth working through it? I guess only time will tell. If you read all the way through this, thank you. It felt good to write it all out. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.